Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. Welcome to a new episode of the Rat Lab podcast. It has been a little while since I have done one of these. Yes, sirree. A lot has happened since I last did an episode of this. Many things. Oh boy. Let me double check how long it's been. How long it has been. It has been 2 months. 2 months since I last did any episode relating to this podcast thing. And even then, that was a mini-sode because I was just not able to continue talking for the full hour at the time. I should be able to get through a decent hour of talking this time around, though, I think, I hope, possibly, maybe. But, anyway, yeah. It's been 2 whole months since I've done this. A lot has happened. I put out a review video after that, later on the next month. And then it's been about 4 memes, 4 shitposts. I did the Gabe Newell shitpost. I did 2 Surface of Crystal memes, one of which got decently popular as far as my channel is concerned. And the other one, did 17 views. And then after that was an April Fool's joke that also didn't really go anywhere. But then everything changed. Everything changed. And I did the card readability video for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon cards, and oh boy, did that really went places. It has, as of now, as of recording, it has 5,500 views, which is more than all of my subscribers. Oh, I apologize if I sound all stuffy and stuff. Stuffy and stuff. What does that mean? I apologize if I sound very stuffy during all of this, because I think I might have a bit of a cold. Or I was just outside as well, and it is still spring, and pollen is being thrown around everywhere by some pretty intense wind. Like, I was coming home from a locals because I finally went back to a card game locals for Digimon, and the wind suddenly started picking up real strong as I was getting back home. And yeah, I don't know, maybe a bunch of the pollen cottonwood junk on the microscopic level just got blown past my nose, and now I'm suddenly feeling the spring cold hit me again, and now it's making me feel all stuffy. So, oh well, I guess we are stuck with that, for the time being. I hope it still sounds fine, though. I hope it still sounds fine. I'll probably upload this anyway. I hope none of you mind all that much. The microphone should sound good enough anyway. But yeah, that's, a lot has happened, and hold on, before I go into detail about what has happened, what the hell is that? I'm gonna open a can here. This is a can of Arnold Palmer. It's an Arnold Palmer Tall Boy. I did this during a stream. I opened one of these during a stream of mine, at the beginning. Oh, alright, the thing is gone now. There was a thing sitting on the rim of the can. I was gonna get rid of it, but no, it's gone now. It's gone now because I threw it because I shook my can. I went like while I was talking, because I like to talk with my hands sometimes. But yeah, I did this before. I turned it into a short. If anyone's been paying attention to the YouTube shorts, I did it during a YouTube short. So I feel like since I have one right here, and I'm gonna need a drink out of it for this, might as well do it now, right? So let me see here. Got a dog tag to get under the tab a little bit, and now we can open it. All right, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Hopefully the microphone picked that up, and that one sounded nice and good. I do also have the soundboard button version. I don't know if it actually. No, I don't think it. Will it pick it up? Will it pick up the soundboard? Let's try that. It does. Yeah, that second one was the soundboard version. It does pick up my soundboard sounds. I don't know why I'm sounding surprised, because the soundboard does the sounds through my microphone output, and I'm capturing all of this through my microphone, so duh. But that also means I can do things like
Maybe you should try getting a job.
and you'll still hear it. But yeah. Yeah. So there's that. Um that's a funny little thing I'll have to keep note of for later. So, as far as what's been happening with me, well, 2 months ago, because the last podcast episode, as many of you should know by now, I had those seizures. I had a few seizures happen, and that spooked me a good bit. It spooked me a good bit, and in all honesty, it did kill some of my motivation to do things, just because, when you get scared by a condition like, when something like that happens to you, it really screws with you, right? It messes with your head. Your entire rhythm gets thrown off for who knows how long. But I've been trying to do things here and there to really slowly get my rhythm back ever since that happened, and especially since now I'm on a new medicine for it, and everything seems to be working out fine. Everything seems to be working out fine. I still need to get blood work to check that out, but everything's looking good. Everything's looking good in that department, Hopefully things remain good and stable there. Now, as far as my inactivity for the past week, again, as of recording this, I am recording this on 420, actually. I'm recording this on, the haha funny weed day. I don't smoke weed or do anything like that, though I participate in anything of that nature. I don't smoke weed, I don't drink, I don't do anything like that. I'm a very straight edge person. I'm certainly one of, if not the most straight edge person out of my entire friend group. It has not stopped me from being friends with any of them, of course. Because my friends aren't the type of people who make it literally their entire personality, and that they can't to the point that they can't, relate to or be friendly with anyone who is not also a fucking stoner or a crackhead or something. There are those kinds of people out there. Not that plentiful, but they're definitely out there, don't you know? Anyway, so yeah, I'm recording this on 420, and as of time of recording, I did not stream for pretty much the entire week last week, with the exception of yesterday, Friday, because, well, the only reason I did it on Friday was because it was a duck day. It was a duck stream, which means I didn't really have to do much. So it was just a very relaxing, soothe the soul kind of stream, right? But the reason I didn't do it, and the reason I'm now behind on my next video, is because on Monday that week, one of my dogs passed away. And yeah, he was whining and in pain for the entire night the night before, and it had gotten to a point where clearly his mind was deteriorating to a degree. His mind was deteriorating. He had some level of dementia, clearly getting worse. His eyes and ears were getting worse over time, and really the only time that he seemed even relatively content, let alone happy, was when he was sleeping. When he was awake, he was in pain and would have bouts of yelping and whining. It just reached a point where he was just in nothing but confusion and pain. So he had to go to the vet for the last time, unfortunately. And so it hit me, just like the seizures did. It did sorry about that. It did a number on my my mind, right? Mental state. I haven't been in the best mental state for a little while. I've been doing everything I can to keep my mental health up, right? Keep myself going, doing things as usual, but things have been it's been very busy. There's been a lot of stuff, bad stuff. I should specify a lot of bad stuff happening that really put a toll on me stress-wise. And I can only hope that maybe now things will begin to calm down and start looking up again, I can only hope. Because first it was my grandfather last year, like middle of last year. And then it was the seizures at the beginning of this year, and now it's my dog, just a week ago, roughly. So yeah, it has been taxing. It has been taxing, to say the least. So I'm hoping I can get a fresh routine, something that will stick for a little while, that I can just enjoy, right? Enjoy and be content with, knowing that whatever routine I'm in, I'll, be working towards something and growing, but it's still a place where I can be comfortable and enjoy things, enjoy the present for a bit. So, yeah. It's all been very screwy with my mind. So, yeah. I don't really know what else to say in that regard. I really don't know. It's just been a lot. So, thankfully, though, all of you people who've shown up in my streams and those who I told about all of this stuff happening, whether it's the seizures or my grandfather, dog, you've all been very, very supportive of me throughout all of this. Everyone's been very supportive, very kind, and so, thank you to all of you who have decided to, who have been kind enough as to help me through all of this one way or another. And yeah, that's pretty much what's been happening as far as recent news in my life goes. It's not exactly the best news, but news is news, right? News is indeed news. However, something good that's been happening is that video, the card readability video, Yu-Gi-Oh! Digimon and card readability. Oh boy, 5,500 views. That is frankly insane. As far as my channel is concerned, that is insane. I never expected... I kind of expected a video like this to be a bit more popular than most of my stuff. Oh, well, look at that. YouTube Studio says it's already at 5.6k. Great, it's still going. Oh boy. But, yeah, I kind of expected, half expected the video to do a bit better than most, just because it's talking about a very popular card game, and it's talking about a very popular topic within the community for that, but I did not necessarily expect it to break out into the thousands in terms of views, let alone have the views get larger than my subscriber count. That's where things get kind of extraordinary. Oh god, my nose. It's awful. It's awful. I don't know how I developed a cold this quickly, but I did. God, it's awful. I can feel it in my friggin' throat. Oh man. Yeah, I did not expect this at all. It is insane. And the best part about it is that the comments on the video, the actual discussions going on down in the video, are actually mostly civil discussions. Actually civil, nice discussions. It's crazy. It's not, I'm not getting, nothing but support, and I'm not getting nothing but hate for the video. It actually worked. People are actually, talking about, okay, this part works, but this part not so much. Or this part, right? They're talking about what does seem good for Yu-Gi-Oh! Compared to Digimon, and what What about my experiment doesn't quite work? Are other factors involved, etc., etc.? People have mentioned Battle Spirits Saga, and that, which I am aware of. I don't think I've ever actually seen a Battle Spirits card before. um, because from what I remember, Battle Spirits Saga, it was a reboot, right? Like there was Battle Spirits, that one eventually caved, and then there was Battle Spirits Saga, which is like a reboot, and then that one fell through almost right after it released, which is, not the best. Certainly not the best, right? Very much so. Very much not the best for a card game like that, so I don't know how Battle Spirits has done it, but apparently whatever it did, it's not quite as good as what Digimon has done, because Digimon has been around for a few years now, and I enjoy it very much. But yeah, I really like that there's been a good discussion over it. It's actually really cool. I like it. Maybe if I come up, if there's another subject I feel like I could do a similar discussion video or thought experiment on, I might do that as well, because clearly it works. Clearly it works to some level, right? People enjoy it. People enjoy it quite a bit. And it's gotten me enough subscribers that I'm not having a subscriber deficit anymore. I'm gaining more subscribers than I lose. It's crazy. The channel is actually in an upswing. Now, I totally expect this video to absolutely be a flash in the pan. I do not expect this to cause my channel to skyrocket to any point of relevancy where people will just watch what I put out regardless. I totally do not expect that. It would be nice if that happened, of course, right? But I highly doubt that's going to happen. Highly doubt it. If anything, I believe it's implausible, extremely implausible, that that's going to happen. But, I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. This is great. This is a great thing that's happening for me right now. Maybe this video will probably tank in comparison. Most certainly will. This podcast episode will most certainly tank. But that's just how it is. That is just how it is with YouTube. Because I don't necessarily want to chase trends to make my channel explode like this. My channel gets popular, then I want it to be popular based off of the videos that I do, that I want to make, that I enjoy, or that I feel like are actually interesting on some level. Not some video that was designed purely because it's about X current event or X popular game or something like that, right? I had a discussion about this in my last Duck stream yesterday, as of recording, where I don't want to, it's a motivation thing. I got asked about motivation. That's what it was. I got asked about why or how I'm able to motivate myself to make videos and not procrastinate and things like that. And it's basically just the fact that I make the stuff that I want to make, the stuff that I find interesting, or talk about the things that I want to talk about rather than chasing a trend. And on top of that, I do it in the format that I want. That's another big thing, is the format. If you look back at my videos, you can tell I have a certain format. It's very flat, I guess you could say. Very flat, very flat style, sort of straight to the point kind of reviews without much in the way of fluff or gags in between them, and that's kind of the purpose. It's just me talking about the game and what I think of it. I find it's notable, what isn't notable, maybe. That kind of thing, whether it's for good or bad. Mostly good, because it's easier, honestly, for me to talk about things that I enjoy more than things that I don't. But, sometimes I try to talk about things that I haven't enjoyed as well. Azuric. The Azuric video was something. But yeah, it's all that. And also, as far as the procrastinating thing goes, I do kind of procrastinate. I think that's just kind of partly wired into my brain, is procrastinating a little bit. But the way I get around any potential for that getting in the way of my stuff is I basically set a little internal deadline for myself. It's not official by any means. It's very much not official. Um, but the internal deadline for me is that I want to have a video out at least one video out every 2 weeks, right? So I can upload more during that time, of course, but I want to have at least a video ready to upload within 2 weeks of the last video that's been uploaded. Because after a full month of no video activity on the channel, it starts to feel like I'm beginning to abandon the channel or forgetting about it. So I like to try and make sure either I finish my project by the 2 week deadline or I have something in my back pocket by said 2 week deadline. Whether it's, and that's why I now have, multiple formats of videos that I advertise sort of on my channel as things that I'll do. I have the podcast, I have reviews, I have shit posts, right? They are all effectively official Rat Lab videos, pretty much, kind of, sort of, in the sense that I consider them all to be just parts of the channel, rather than, like separate things. It's hard to describe. I consider the reviews, shit posts, and everything in between to be effectively all TheRatMan content, basically, rather than like, oh, I uploaded a shit post, but I still have to get this other more professional video out by the 2 week deadline or something like that. It's like, no, not really. I still consider shit posts to be part of the TheRatMan content pool, because for me, I enjoy shit posts as much as I also enjoy reviews and as much as I enjoy the occasional video essay. So, if I make that stuff, then it's all stuff that I enjoy and I want to make. Then it's all part of the same content pool. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a hiccup there. I consider it to effectively be all part of the same pool of content because it's all stuff that I want to make anyway. That's why my channel trailer is the way it is. It's like, do you like reviews, lore, memes, right? Because that's the kind of stuff that I like, and that's the kind of stuff that I make. So, here you go. Take it. It's all part of the same channel. It's all part of the same family. I'm not going to treat my reviews as some higher form of art superior to the Cerveza Crystal shitpost. Because at the end of the day, it's all expressions of me. They're all expressions of me, my personality, my humor, my thoughts. It's all me at the end of the day. And that's the important part. That's what matters, and I would hope that's what people come to the channel for, are expressions of myself in various ways. It's a very we're in a very meta discussion here in regards to YouTubers and all this stuff, and like we're all getting very meta and stuff here. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something else that seems very very funny to me. Adult Swim. You all know Adult Swim, right? The wonderful, after hours Cartoon Network channel, right? You all love it. I know I love it. I grew up watching some Adult Swim, absolutely watching it when I was not supposed to as a kid. Me and my friends, we'd have our occasional sleepovers on like Saturdays or Fridays, right? And what we'd do is we would regardless of whose house we'd stay at, we would have Cartoon Network up, and then we'd basically just have it. We'd stay up all the way to midnight so we could watch Robot Chicken. yeah, probably not the type of thing. It's probably not the type of thing that, a 10 to 11, maybe 12-year-old should have been watching. But we did. We did. And we thought it was the most hilarious stuff on the planet. Even though we didn't understand more than half the references that the Robot Chicken was making in the first place. You know? Sorry about that. Yeah, it's a whole but anyway, the whole thing about Adult Swim is the reason I'm talking about it. Sorry, I trailed off. I trailed off because I was looking for the thing I was going to talk about, like actually on my computer. And then the audio happened and oh no. It's that apparently the Adult Swim show Space Ghost Coast to Coast has had its 30th anniversary recently. Dear Lord, 30 years. It has been 30 years since Space Ghost Coast to Coast started. That's crazy. But regardless, in celebration of this anniversary, the Adult Swim YouTube channel has been streaming the Space Ghost Coast to Coast show, I assume the entire thing, as far as I can tell, on loop for multiple days now. They started on the 15th, on April 15th. And again, as of today, it is April 20th. It is 420. And so they've just been doing this on loop. And I know it's on loop because I've checked back on the channel like 3 times. Well, multiple times. And about 3 times that I've done that, I have gotten the same episode I have gotten the same episode about 3 times when I check in on it. It's like, okay, alright. So yeah, clearly they are indeed looping. It is indeed looping, right? So I imagine they're just marathoning the entire thing and then just looping it over again, and I'm somehow getting unlucky enough to catch the exact same episodes every time. But regardless, yeah, it's they've been doing this for multiple days. I assume they're going to do it for like a week straight, maybe. I don't know. I have to wonder. But regardless, it has been a time seeing Space Ghost. I mean, like, I pulled up the Space Ghost stream just to, have it there to remind me of what's going on, and that was the thing that distracted me for a moment because the audio was on. I had to mute it. And the episode I caught is the one where Conan O'Brien is the guest. Yeah, the Conan O'Brien, before he... I mean, he's certainly much younger now, and before he started doing all this other stuff that he's doing. And I think he was, in fact, with a different studio at the time, when he was guest starring on Coast to Coast. I have to specify that Space Ghost Coast to Coast and not the Space Ghost show, because the Space Ghost show's from the 60s. That's a different thing entirely. But yeah, it is something. It is something to watch. And it's a very creative endeavor. An extremely creative endeavor. And also the greatest cost-cutting measure in animation history, I dare say. The fact that they managed to create this dumb show out of just all of these unused cells from a superhero show that they just happen to own that nobody wants to use. It's crazy. I love the story of the show. It's wonderful. It is wonderful. But yeah, it's nutty. Man, I need to watch. I feel like I need to watch some more Adult Swim. Granted, I probably will be because Smiley and Friends Season 2 is happening. So I need to watch that too. I need to watch that one too. That's another thing. Adult Swim is kinda they've been doing pretty good recently. I watched what was the other thing I watched? I watched the My Adventures with Superman, which was a really good, like, modern sort of retelling, maybe? Is retelling a good description? I guess. Yeah, no. Yes. Yeah, I guess a more modern retelling of Superman, right? It's really good. I really enjoyed it. And I think part of it is the fact that it was so sincere in just being a good Superman show. Like, the idea of a Superman show on Adult Swim sounds interesting, right? However, there is the fear when you hear Adult Swim Superman show that it's going to basically be like what Has Been Hotel is, where it's just violent, where it's just, gratuitous violence and maybe even some sex jokes. But I think for Superman, it would especially just be like gratuitous violence to try and catch that audience that enjoys, things like The Boys and stuff like that. But thankfully, it is not that. It was, it was a bit more mature, slightly more mature. I'd say the maturity level, as far as the audience required to watch the show, is like maybe on the same level as watch King of the. It's on like the same maturity level as like King of the Hill, maybe a little bit less than King of the Hill, right? Like I could still buy if you told me that My Adventures of Superman was actually on Cartoon Network itself, I could still buy that. After having watched that, after having watched the show, I could still buy it. I could still buy it for the most part. Especially since the Cartoon Network shows that I grew up with were definitely not like always kiddie. Teen Titans got into some weird shit. Teen Titans got into some harsh shit on occasion. But I could see Superman as like a classic Cartoon Network action show. It's definitely it could definitely fit with Adult Swim in the same way that King of the Hill does. But the thing that I really enjoyed about it was the fact that well, it's just sincere. It's sincere because that's the thing you become afraid of when you hit the Adult Swim, like mature network without censors, or just any network or streaming service without censors. You hear that they pick up a show like this, like a Superman show, and you start to think, oh, are they going to turn Superman into Invincible or Homelander or something like that? Are they going to do that? Is it all just going to be gratuitous violence and all this stuff? And it's like, because the modern thing to do with superheroes now is to constantly just deconstruct them and make them all, make them edgy and be like, oh, but if he's realistic, then wouldn't he just be a bad person and all this? And look at how much destructive power he actually has. He's a danger and all this stuff, right? Trying to sound smart by deconstructing everything and just filling it all with irony and shit, right? But Superman doesn't do that. My Adventures of Superman doesn't do that. It is a sincere show. Superman is a sincere character. He recognizes that he has all this power, but it's Superman. It's Clark Kent. The whole point of who Clark Kent is, of his character, is that he isn't Homelander. He isn't Omni-Man. He does do the right thing. He would never go out of his way to destroy people who wrong him, just, out of selfish need or desire, right? The whole point is that he's a good person. He's a paragon of morality who will go out of his way to save people no matter what. That's the point. And then the point is taking that paragon of morality and putting him in situations where he has to risk his life and go through dilemmas to save the day, in various ways, and I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate that it sticks to being all sincere, rather than trying to again deconstruct and subvert Superman for the millionth time now. It's why I've come to appreciate Ultraman so much, the Japanese tokusatsu series. I was introduced to Ultraman as a little kid. A little kid. Because my dad was introduced to Ultraman when he was a little kid. Like the Ultraman English dub he saw when he was a little kid in like the late 60s. And he he got his hands on a copy of the English dub of the 1966 Ultraman, and so I watched that and I got introduced to that. But then I eventually forgot about Ultraman, just because I hadn't seen anything else about Ultraman anywhere. All I had was that DVD with the English dub of the original show. So I hadn't really gotten to see where else Ultraman had gone past then. I gotta take a drink. Okay. God, you have no idea. Trying to talk for an hour straight can really take it out of you. This is why streamers, if you're watching a streamer, this is why they will occasionally just say nothing for a good few minutes while they're playing a game. Not just because they might be focusing on the game, but also because if they were talking earlier, it will just ruin their throat. Absolutely ruin their throat. Good lord. That was me taking another drink, by the way. Alright. Okay. I think we're good. But, thing with Ultraman. I got reintroduced to Ultraman, very recently, last year. In fact, it was actually around maybe this time last year, maybe a few months later last year. Well, no, a few months, later. Like a few months ahead of where we are right now. A few months ahead, like summer of last year, roughly. Because I was starting to get into Ultraman around the time my grandpa unfortunately passed away. And so I was watching that and just discovering everything that happened with Ultraman, ever since I saw the 1966 version. And wow, it's been a lot. There's been a lot of Ultraman media since then, and I have come to sort of immerse myself in it, and it is wonderful. It is bombastic, it is silly, it sometimes has some really good action. The worlds are ridiculous. The special effects are genuinely impressive because most of them are practical. They don't use a lot of CGI. They do use CGI for certain things like energy beams and things like that. But where they can, they will use practical effects. So Ultramen are always people in costumes. Kaijus are always people in costumes. The mechs are people in costumes. The cities that the characters fight in, that the giant monsters and Ultramen fight in, are actual sets that they built and can and are actually destroyed during the filming of the fight. The whole shebang, the whole 9 yards. And it's genuinely impressive how much they can build and work with just through practical effects alone. I imagine those suits get really hot under there, because the suits now, they got a bunch of wiring and mechanisms in them at this point, right? Because they got lights and things in them. Like a lot of kaijus will have little puppetry on them, basically. The rubber suit equivalent to puppetry to open up their jaws and things like that, along with things to light up along their backs or arms or even just their eyes, along with Ultraman themselves having, whichever Ultraman you choose, having one or multiple sources of light on their body. I think minimum 3, because you have the 2 eyeballs and their color timer on their chest. And then they might have other lit up things on them, like the Ultraman show that I got to watch as it went on, effectively live, was Ultraman Blazar, who's got this like blue glowing streak on the left side of his head. And it frankly, it looks really cool. Ultraman Blazar is a really cool Ultraman design. But it just adds even more wiring to the mask that I imagine makes it really awkward for a suit actor to have to deal with sometimes. All props go to the suit actors for those. It is a lot. I imagine it's a lot. I've seen a few pictures on the inside, and good lord. I hope they have safety mechanisms in there in case something goes wrong. I sure hope so. But yeah, one of the other reasons I came to appreciate, or at least looking at, starting to think about it, one of the reasons I've come to appreciate the Ultraman series as much as I do now is because it is sincere. Even if it's very obvious that, things are done to sell toys and things like that, right? Like every Ultraman has to have a special device that allows the protagonist to transform, that does things when you put things in them, right? Just like a toy. Or how every Ultra has to get like a special weapon of some kind that you can then sell as a toy as well and all that. Even with all of that, that just feels like the obvious stuff. It feels like that's the kind of thing you just go in expecting from these kinds of shows. So you're able to look past it. You're able to look past the goofy things like that because you're expecting it. So you look beyond that, and what you see is a genuine show. You see something sincere. A hero being a hero and saving the day. You do get some moral dilemmas here and there, and some very interesting, some very, very nice storylines within, singular episodes. I'd say, I can't remember the name of it. Hold on, let me look it up. Ultraman. So it's an Ultraman. It's a Blazar episode. It's a Blazar episode, but I don't remember what episode it is. It's an episode, Planet of Music. I was thinking the music episode. Duh, it's called Planet of Music. Of course it is. Why didn't I think of that? Oy. But anyway. But yeah, the episode, it's episode 9, Planet of Music. It's a really good episode, just a standalone. Like, you don't need to really understand the rest of the show. Just find, if you haven't watched Ultraman before, or Ultraman Blazar, obviously I tell you, watch all of Ultraman Blazar from beginning to end. Just do that starting from episode 1. But if you want an episode to really sell you on the idea of Ultraman, aside from episode 1, because that's the obvious episode, since it's designed to be an introduction, watch episode 9. Watch Planet of Music. It's a really, really good standalone episode of Ultraman. It is excellent. It is genuinely great. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but the fact it takes a long time Ultraman character, a long time kaiju character, puts it into a context that is a reference to the absolute beginnings of the Ultra franchise, which is Ultra Q, which is a show that existed before Ultraman, and basically retells the story in an Ultraman context. And it puts a lot of focus on the human characters involved, which is something that a lot of shows in this genre, the tokusatsu genre, and kaiju genre, don't really do. Or if they do that, they don't do it very well. They don't do it very well a lot of the time. The human characters in Blazar are genuinely really good. They're really well written characters. They all have their roles to play, and they all have actual intricacies and relationships between them. And you learn about them over time. It's not just, they have their cliches, like, you have the engineer, the sporty one, the nerdy one, etc., blah, blah, blah. But in Blazar, they actually do go further beneath that. It runs deeper than that for one reason or another. Unlike certain shows. And by shows, I mean certain Ultraman shows. Some Ultra shows are better than others. Some of them very much are better than others, but I won't get into that. Giga. Now, as far as what Ultraman is doing now, apparently the format, I haven't been around long enough to really know how the Ultraman format works per se. But as far as I can tell, the way it works, the way Subaraya, or Supro, the company, does it, is that they air a new Ultraman show every summer. They air it during the summer into the fall. And then after that, it's basically these sort of recap specials telling you about the previous Ultras and characters and teams and what they've been up to ever since the ending of their shows or something like that. And so we're going through that right now. And as of right now, all we know is we have the name and character design of the new Ultraman, which is Ultraman Arc. We got Ultraman Arc now. And apparently the premise of Ultraman Arc is it's going to be much more lighthearted than Blazar. Blazar was going back to a more, I guess, grounded form of Ultra storytelling. It wanted to be more of a sci-fi show with Ultraman involved, rather than just an Ultraman show that used sci-fi elements, if that makes any sense, even though Ultraman is sci-fi. It puts the... Some shows would put the Ultraman first before the sci-fi. That makes sense. It seems Ultraman Arc is going for a much more lighthearted brain. My brain's getting fried. We're almost at the end of the hour. My brain's starting to fall apart doing all this. Ultraman Arc is sort of going back to a more Showa-inspired thing, which Showa is basically the original run of Ultraman, the original Ultraman seasons. So, yeah, like Ultraman, Ultra 7, all that stuff. Ace. It's 80. I think, yeah, 80. 80 is Showa. He was the only one from the 80s. But, so it's much more lighthearted. And apparently, Ultraman Arc is supposed to be powered by imagination or something. I don't quite get it. Obviously, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see how it turns out. I think Ultraman Arc's design looks pretty cool. I do appreciate how simplistic his design is. It's simplistic in the good way. Like, I guess if you want a good word to use instead of simplistic, it would be minimalist. Right? He's got a very minimalist style. It's very deliberate. It was very carefully designed to invoke the Showa designs where Ultras looked more just like variations of the original Ultraman rather than completely brand new things with all these bright lights covering them all over the place and all that. Whereas Ultraman Arc is just, he's got a new pattern and a new shape for his color timer, and his head's got a fin. Boom. His head's got a weird looking fin on it. You can't even see the fin if he's front facing. You don't even see the fin if it's front facing, which I think is pretty funny. You have to try hard to get the fin. You have to try hard and get a good camera angle that really shows off the whole fin is what I'm trying to say. Oh boy. Like I said, my brain is getting fried going through all of this. It has been a solid 55 minutes of recording. The video's going to appear shorter than whatever this recording is because I'm going to put this through some audio editing software that I have, because I found out that my software has a little thing on it that cuts out silence. Yeah. I could have used that a long fucking time ago. Because I've had to cut out the silence in my readings, like my script readings for reviews and things of that nature, this entire time. For literal years. Literal years, ever since I started this channel. I have had to do this thing where I go through the audio track for my script and cut out all of the silence manually, every little bit, to make sure it sounds right. Which is why in certain videos it might sound more janky than in others, and especially in the new video, the card readability video. It might sound or look particularly janky because I had to also try and hope that the audio synced up with the movement of the PNG tuber, Because, obviously if I'm taking out a bunch of audio, then it's probably not going to sync up. Because that's how audio syncing works. Oy. But yeah, this entire time, I've been manually doing this, and yet I've had audio software sitting on my computer for like a year now. Maybe a little less than that, but still, for a good while now, that had a button specifically designed to let me remove exactly that, all on its own. It just does it. Like, well, shit. Well, shit, dude. Could have used that so long ago. But it is available to me now, so I suppose I'll be making use of it for this podcast. We'll see how it goes. This podcast episode is going to be a bit of an experiment to see what happens, right? See what happens when I actually use that button. See how well that goes. But yeah, that's interesting. For anyone wondering about the software I use, by the way, so for video editing, I use Vegas Pro 19. For audio editing, I have SoundForge Pro. SoundForge Pro 15, right? And then I have Music Maker. Their version? No, it's just called Music Maker. I have Music Maker as well, but I don't really make music. I just have it. The reason I have all of these is because I got my hands on a Humble Bundle a while back, long while back, quote unquote, almost a year now. I got my hands on a Humble Bundle that basically gave me all of that. It's simple as, right? It gave me all of that stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I had a video editing software thing before, but I figured it was Magic's Video Pro X that I was using. And unfortunately, Magic's Video Pro X, when you start uploading things that are a bit longer to it, it starts to lag really bad. It is not a well-optimized piece of software at all. It is a horribly optimized piece of software. horribly optimized. So when I saw the opportunity for like $25 to jump off of that and onto a new piece of software, still without having to pay any stupid Adobe subscription, because I actually own the software that is on my computer now, I jumped at that chance, of course. Along with the fact that, hey, it gave me other software that I could maybe use at some point in the future. Like, right now. I can now use the SoundForge and get rid of all the silence in my podcast episode to make it easier to listen to without dragging on and all these bouts of silence that I inevitably get stuck into while I either lose my train of thought or I'm trying to imagine or figure out the right word for something or whatever. So yeah, things are progressing along. Things have been tough, things have been stressful, but things are progressing along, and hopefully things will continue to progress along. So yeah, and right as I say that, we hit 1 hour and 1 minute on the recording. You can tell that I'm looking over at my second monitor to read the time because my voice sounds a little weird because my mouth is faced away from the microphone. But yeah, that, I believe, will be that. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, the little news updates, and my little tangents about various pieces of media. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. And lastly, a thank you shout out to Mike Uniturtle. Thank you for the $5.